Alright, what you see here is a new fan I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace. This is a KDK industrial ceiling fan model A56XL. This replaced the A56XG back in 2008. And it's basically the same thing as that, except that this is actually a light kit adaptable version of it. As you can see, it has the switch cap removed. But yeah, that's basically what this is. It's the same thing as that, with a few differences, one of which being that it can be light kit adaptable and that it does not have the gray ring that goes around it. Instead, it just has like a space of where that would have been. But yeah, that was the only way I could really identify the differences between them as a kid. And the fact that the A56XGs didn't have the little circular portion for the removable switch cap, whereas these ones did have that. But yeah, these are pretty big childhood fans for me, along with the other 2000s and 90s era KDKs. I've been looking for one of these for quite some time, but just haven't really taken the opportunity to get one. I mean, there's been a few times I've almost gotten one, but some of them, just the plans didn't line up in terms of meeting up with the marketplace seller and such. Or I left before I could really meet up with them. But I have been checking marketplace quite a bit, especially when I'm in the States, just to, especially if I'm going to be flying down here soon, just to kind of have one on tabs and such. But yeah, I found this one for a pretty good price, and the fact that the finish on it is in pretty good shape. It's not like really yellowed or anything. I mean, the controller is, and the blades definitely could use a little bit of retouching, but the plastic on the motor and the canopies are in good shape still, which is what mattered to me the most. And yeah, it does not have a switch cap, unfortunately, but thankfully the M56LGs use the exact same switch cap that these use, so it's not really an issue there. Although, unless the white finishes don't match up completely, that's the only issue there. But it's an older fan, so I mean, and I have seen some that the center of them have discolored a little bit more than the fan itself, so it's not really that uncommon to see and such. But yeah, this one uses the exact same motor as the B56X5 and the B56YKs, the brown and brass KDKs from the 2000s, and the white KDKs that have the more classic look, where this is the more contemporary look, as I'd like to call it. But yeah, these were introduced basically around the time that the KDK had its 100-year anniversary in 2009. And I remember them doing a lot of advertisements about that, especially on a billboard I remember seeing back in 2009 that had this exact model as like the base model to promote it. But then after that is when they started going downhill in quality a bit, cheaper parts, like the paint would wear out quicker on the blades and rust up quicker. This one definitely kind of shows a little bit of that, but not too badly. And it wasn't more so until like 2010, going 2011, that they started having an issue. 2009, I mean, it was starting to take a dive there, but not as badly like 2010 and 11. But yeah, these ones definitely, they perform good, but finding some that aren't too worn because of the time period that they were made is a little bit tricky. But yeah, this one's definitely in really nice shape and such. Came with its original control that has the model number right there and such. It still has the numbers on it too, those haven't worn off it. And just looking at the inside, you can see it's the same basically as the other KDKs from that time period, whereas the newer ones, the inside looks a little bit different. But it does have more of a UFO shaped motor housing to it compared to the M56LGs. Like I said before, this is basically a 2000s version of that, the M56LG, before those were even introduced. And also, since those never came in black or silver, or not black and silver, black and gray back then, they didn't really have the black and gray ones back then unless someone painted it, but yeah. And there's the information on the capacitor. It's from 2009. So it's actually from the exact year that KDK turned 100, which is kind of neat. It does have that there, which is something that you would end up seeing later on. I don't remember if the A56XG that I have has a KDK logo on the side like this, but yeah. Now I have done some videos of these throughout the years on the channel. The first one, most notably, is one from a radio station, like a break room, that my late uncle used to have a radio show at, for like a church and such. I did get a few videos of it, but sadly that I no longer have access to that place, so getting a video of that's very unlikely. Same thing with the Panasonics that are there, the 2000 era Panasonics that is. But I know they're still there. Most likely, it's just nobody that I know has that really works there anymore and such. So yeah, that's kind of the issue with that. But yeah, this one I'm glad to finally have, because this does complete my KDK collection for the 2000s era, and I've already completed the 2010s era one basically. So the last few were from the 2020s, but same thing. Although I don't have the earlier versions of them, the M56LG, when it was just white with the two-piece bottom canopies, or the other white ones that look like the B56 like X5s and such. I mean, those ones, they came with two-piece canopies as well. Easiest way to tell if it's one of those, if the top canopies are yellowed, like Crompton Greaves fans and such, or the Crompton Parkinsons. That's the easiest way to tell. Or if they have the display design and not the version where they have like the lines going through it. If they use these older blades, that's another way to tell. But yeah, this is something that I've always wanted to get. I remember as a kid, I always thought these looked pretty cool. They were definitely shown quite a bit in some of the old fan photo slideshows. Fun fact, actually, for those who remember the my aunt's house here, they have the one KDK, the B56X5, that has an upper canopy that would go to one of these. Originally, my cousin that owned that fan, before she moved back into my aunt's place, had one of these. And when they went to put it back up in that room, the motor wasn't working. So that's when this person had a spare B56X5 motor, new, that she bought off and just put the part. Basically, the motor was just a spare motor, and the blades from the previous fan are what's on it now. It's the one that doesn't have the bottom canopy with the triangle canopy on top, with the dangling light in a small green bedroom. But same house that had the universal fan that I got from her, but from the pharmacy. But yeah, that was the first time I would have been able to see one up close. But this is my first time actually seeing one up close like this, in all honesty, except for like display, like ones that were for sale as a kid. But yeah, I still see these around quite a bit. Definitely not as common as the B56X5s or the B56YKs, but to be fair, these were only sold for about 5 years and such. And I don't remember if these were more expensive than the other white model they sold at the time. It might have been, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do know they definitely sold well, because I still see some to this day in certain areas and such. So yeah, so yeah, that wraps up the 2000s era KDK hunting list of sorts. There are still like the earlier versions of like the B56X5 from like the 90s versions, that there's some that I haven't found yet, in the 80s and 60s era looking ones. But I mean, I'm glad that I got the ones that were actually sold when I was a kid, all collected at this point. So yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.